11 witnesses testified in Lindsay Clancy's murder trial today. Let's break it down. It started with the medical examiner who did the autopsy on baby Callan. Only jurors were able to see autopsy photos, and some of them were visibly emotional looking at them. Lindsay Clancy was loudly sobbing during this. The testimony was pretty short, but afterwards, court had to take a quick break. After that break, the family's longtime pediatrician testified. So the pediatrician testified that in general, Lindsay seemed like a normal mother, the kids were healthy, all good. She saw Lindsay and Cora at a doctor's appointment the morning of the murders, and she testified that nothing seemed off, and that in her experience, she had never felt she needed to screen Lindsay or give her resources for any postpartum issues. Next up, multiple daycare teachers who encountered the children testified. Again, they testified about the kids being generally well-adjusted and Lindsay seeming normal by all accounts. Then Lindsay Clancy's former co-worker at Mass General, remember she's a labor and delivery nurse, who's also a friend of hers, testified. She said Lindsay was a wonderful mother. She's known her for over a decade, and that all Lindsay ever wanted was to be a mother and have a big family. She did testify that Lindsay had told her about some mental health issues she was having. She told her about the insomnia she was experiencing and brain fog. Prosecutors asked this question of multiple people who had encountered Lindsay, saying, did you have any trouble understanding what she was saying? At any point, was there anything different about her speech? And they all said no. Another mom friend in Duxbury who Lindsay had confided in testified, also saying she didn't know anything about suicidal or homicidal thoughts. Mostly she was just aware of the insomnia issue, but she testified that Lindsay loved her kids. Then Lindsay's longtime childhood friend of 29 years testified. She talked about the relationship over the years, but then she also testified about visiting Lindsay in March of 2023 at Spalding Rehab. So this is nearly 2 months after the children were killed. She says they made small talk, they played Uno, and it was a pretty basic visit. The prosecutor asked at any point, did Lindsay break down in tears or talk to you about the deaths of her children? And she said no. Then on cross-examination, she told the defense attorney that she had been warned by Lindsay's sister not to bring up what had happened. After that, Lindsay's former father-in-law, Patrick Clancy's father, took the stand. He testified that Lindsay was a protective mother in a way that he said any mother would be. He said he and his wife were aware that Lindsay was having some struggles and that Patrick had confided in him about his concern for Lindsay. He referred to Lindsay and Patrick and the kids as the all-American family. The final person to take the stand was a state trooper who did some investigation into Lindsay's digital footprint. During this very quick testimony, prosecutors read one of her Facebook posts in a mom support group in which she said, quote, I'm truly finding my 19-month-old to be the most difficult human I've ever encountered. I mean that with all the love in my heart. And every single thing with him is a battle, and it has been for a while. This was talking about her second child, Dawson. It was posted back in 2021. That was the last thing jurors were left with. Lindsay Clancy's defense attorney tells me he expects that her psychiatrists who treated her for these mental health issues before the killings will be called to the stand on Friday.